So on August 18, 2026, over a third of Google's traditional traffic just vanished.
That's completely gone, effectively overnight.
Yeah, 34.5%.
Yeah.
We're talking about the blue links that built entire empires, right? The top spots that marketing agencies bled for.
Exactly. Just bypassed entirely by millions of users who never even bothered to click.
Welcome to the deep dive. For you listening, whether you're, trying to map out a brand strategy for your company or prepping for some high-stakes meeting.
Or honestly, even if you just want to understand the foundational mechanics of how the internet actually operates on this exact date of August 18th, 2026.
Right, because we are decoding something monumental here. We're analyzing the SEO Daily Technology Report that released on August 18, 2026. And our mission is to really understand this seismic permanent shift in how we discover information.
The whole era of, Googling something and chasing that #1 ranking, it's officially a relic of the past.
It's totally dead. The new frontier, really the only frontier that matters now, is GEO, Generative Engine Optimization.
Setting the stakes here is just so crucial. Because for anyone trying to be seen or heard on the web, understanding generative engine optimization is not some experimental side project anymore.
No, it's the baseline requirement.
Yeah, it's table stakes. If we look at the data from the August 18th, 2026 report, the fundamental mechanics of visibility have completely detached from the models we used for the last 20 years.
Which is wild to think about. I mean, you mentioned that 34.5% drop in organic click-through rates on those top traditional results, and that's caused entirely by Google's AI overviews.
Right, the AI just takes over the top of the page. But the report highlights this fascinating, honestly counterintuitive secondary metric. Total impression volume is actually up across the board.
Wait, really? Impressions are up, but clicks are down.
Exactly. People are searching way more frequently and they're asking much more complex questions, but they are clicking on traditional links far, far less.
Because the answers are just being synthesized and handed to them right there at the top of the interface.
Right. They don't need to click through to 5 different recipes to find out how long to boil an egg. The AI just tells them.
Okay, well, let's unpack this. Because I like to think of it like an exclusive club.
Oh, I like this. Go ahead.
So we used to, grease the palm of the bouncer, which is the old search algorithm, and you got a VIP table where everyone can see you.
Right. You optimize for the algorithm. You got the top spot.
Exactly. But the club completely remodeled. And now the bouncer is an AI that just stands outside and reads a highly accurate summary of your menu to the people standing in line.
That's a great way to put it.
So those people get their cravings satisfied without ever stepping foot inside your actual restaurant. Your impression count goes up because the bouncer talked about you.
Right.
But your foot traffic, your actual clicks, it just plummets.
That analogy perfectly isolates the problem of the modern marketer. You are no longer trying to pull the user into your specific domain.
Right.
You're trying to ensure the AI bouncer considers your signature dish the absolute best authoritative answer when it speaks to that crowd outside.
Which is a huge mental shift.
It is. But the complication the report introduces is that it's not just about Google's bouncer anymore. We are looking at a landscape entirely defined by multi-engine SEO.
Multi-engine SEO. Because it's not a monopoly anymore.
Exactly. Nearly half of the entire AI-driven discovery ecosystem now lives completely outside of Google's infrastructure.
Half of the ecosystem. I mean, that is a staggering loss of dominance. We aren't just dealing with one bouncer at one club. We have a whole squad of them at different venues all over town.
And they all have remarkably different tastes, right?
Yes. I was looking at how the report breaks down these different AI citation algorithms. It is wild how varied their priorities are.
It really requires a nuanced approach.
Take Perplexity, for example. Its algorithm demands recent, highly authoritative sources with very clear, verifiable citations. It wants the academic, up-to-the-minute truth.
Right. Perplexity is essentially a research assistant. It does not care about your conversational tone if you don't have hard facts.
Exactly. But then you look at ChatGPT, and it leans heavily into conversational depth and really strong key EAT signals.
Experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness.
Yeah, exactly. ChatGPT wants a dialogue that is grounded in deep domain authority. It wants to know you've actually been in the trenches.
And then we introduce Claude into the mix, which operates on an entirely different wavelength.
Oh man, Claude is fascinating. What does Claude want?
Well, Claude prioritizes nuanced, well-reasoned logic. It actively analyzes the depth of your argument and the structural integrity of your content.
So it's not just scraping for a quick, fresh fact like Perplexity.
No, not at all. It wants to see how well you explore the gray areas of a topic. It values synthesis and balanced perspectives.
Which raises a massive logistical question for you, the listener. If you were building a brand or publishing information on August 18th, 2026, and there are all these different AI gatekeepers with entirely different tastes.
It's a lot to juggle.
Right, because one wants fresh academic facts, one wants conversational authority, and one wants nuanced logic. How do we actually hand them the information?
We definitely can't just publish the same generic blog post and hope they all figure it out.
Exactly. How are we physically telling these machines what to read and how to understand us?
Well, the transition from traditional SEO to GEO requires a fundamental change in the technical mechanisms we use to communicate with crawlers.
Okay, so getting into the technical weeds here.
A little bit, yeah. Historically, managing a website meant relying heavily on a file called robots.txt.
Ah, yes, the old digital keep out sign.
Exactly. You used it to tell the web crawlers which administrative pages or duplicate content folders they should just ignore.
It was entirely defensive, just telling them where not to go.
Defensive and restrictive. But the new standard detailed in the August 18th, 2026 report is a file called llms.txt.
llms.txt.
Right. And this represents a massive shift from a defensive posture to a highly curated offensive strategy. llms.txt is specifically designed for large language models.
So it's not a keep out sign anymore.
No, it acts as a curated guide. It tells AI crawlers exactly what priority content they should ingest and cite.
I love that. Instead of just letting a bot wander aimlessly through your site hierarchy, you are handing it a clean, text-only distillation of your most authoritative information.
It's an invitation. You're pre-packaging the absolute best version of your knowledge specifically for the machine's consumption.
And the report notes that major publishers and SaaS brands who adopted llms.txt early, alongside their standard XML sitemaps, are seeing measurable lifts in AI referral traffic.
It's a huge competitive advantage right now.
What really blows my mind, though, is that Google is openly validating this. There is a direct quote from Google in the August 2026 report.
Oh, I know the exact quote you mean.
It states, optimizing for generative AI search is optimizing for the search experience, and thus still SEO.
That is huge. They're officially legitimizing generative engine optimization.
Right. It's not some shady black hat workaround. It is the core practice now.
The endorsement of GEO by major search players means the architecture of websites has to adapt to how AI processes information. Language models do not read pages the way humans do.
No, they don't have eyes.
Right, and they don't simply match text strings the way old search algorithms did either. They map relationships between concepts.
Which brings us to the critical role of structured data, right?
Yeah.
And what the industry is now calling entity SEO.
Yes. Let's break down that mechanism because the report leans heavily into schema markup, specifically using the JSON LD format.
Okay, for anyone trying to visualize this, think about how you might list a product price on a web page.
Good example.
In the old days, you just wrote out a paragraph saying, our premium running shoes cost $100.
Right, and you force the search engine to read the text, parse the grammar, and basically guess that $100 was the price.
Exactly. But JSON LD changes that entirely. Instead of making the AI read a paragraph, JSON LD is like handing the AI a standardized and visible form in the background of your code.
Where the box labeled price already has 100 filled out.
Yes. And the box labeled brand is already filled out.
That standardized form removes all the computational guesswork for the machine.
Which is key, right? Because computation costs money.
Exactly. When an AI is synthesizing an answer in real time for a user, it will always prefer the data source that requires the least amount of processing power to understand.
So by structuring your content around clearly defined people, places, organizations, and concepts,
which are the entities in entity SEO.
right, you become the path of least resistance for the AI model.
And we are seeing massive surges in very specific types of schema markup because of this. FAQ, how-to, and breadcrumbless schemas are just exploding.
But the report makes a really interesting distinction here. People aren't coding these FAQs to get those little drop-down boxes on the traditional search results page anymore.
Oh, those days are over.
They're structuring FAQs because an AI assistant can extract a perfectly formatted question-answer pair and drop it directly into a synthesized response.
Without having to summarize a dense 2,000-word article, It is all about creating modular, highly digestible nodes of information.
Okay, but let me push back on the reality of implementing this, because managing those nodes introduces a massive operational challenge.
It does sound overwhelming at first.
The sheer scale of it sounds paralyzing, honestly.
Yeah.
We are essentially serving the AI a heavily structured, pre-formatted digital buffet,
We are mapping out every entity.
writing specific JSON LD code for every FAQ, maintaining a distinct llms.txt file, and somehow trying to cater the tone of our content to please Perplexity's need for freshness, ChatGPT's need for authority, and Claude's need for logic all at once.
That's a lot.
Doing this manually across hundreds of web pages sounds like an administrative nightmare that would require a team of developers working around the clock.
Oh,
So who is actually doing all this manual labor?
Well, the reality of the August 18, 2026 landscape is that human beings are no longer doing the manual labor of optimization.
Okay, so how is it getting done?
The industry has shifted away from artisanal manual SEO tweaks into a highly automated production process. We are looking at an ecosystem entirely driven by AI command centers.
The 2026 tech stack.
Exactly.
Let's examine how these tools actually function, because the report highlights a few titans that have fundamentally changed the daily workflow of a marketer.
Semrush One is really positioned as the primary command center right now.
Yeah, and what stands out to me is the mechanism behind their AI Visibility Toolkit. You aren't just looking at traditional keyword rankings anymore.
Yeah, that's completely obsolete.
The dashboard physically tracks your brand's presence across ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, and Google AI mode simultaneously.
Which is incredible visibility.
So if a user asks Claude to recommend a CRM software, Semrush shows you exactly if and how Claude mentioned your brand in that private chat.
And, tracking those unlinked brand mentions within closed AI systems was the biggest blind spot for marketers just a few years ago. We had no idea what the AIs were saying about us.
It was a total black box.
Exactly. Now, platforms use generative AI co-pilots to interpret that visibility data and suggest specific content actions to improve your citation rate.
It's like having an AI consultant telling you how to please the other AIs.
That's exactly what it is. And alongside Semrush, the report details the massive evolution of RFs.
Right. Historically known for backlink intelligence.
Yes, but their infrastructure in 2026 features a crawled link index that updates every 15 to 30 minutes for top domains.
Every 15 minutes. The practical application of that is massive when dealing with generative AI.
Oh, absolutely. Think about hallucinations.
Right. If an AI model hallucinates a false claim about your brand or, pulls outdated pricing from a competitor site, a traditional trawler might take weeks to notice a correction.
And by then, the damage is done.
Exactly. But with a near instantaneous crawl index and Ahrefs AI-assisted site explorer, you can publish a correction, force the crawl, and have the language models re-ingest the accurate truth almost immediately.
It allows brands to defend their digital reputation in real time, which is vital now.
Defending reputation is one side of the coin, for sure. But the report also outlines a whole new fleet of platforms focused entirely on automated execution and publication.
Yes, this is where we see tools like Chat Featured and AirOps completely taking over the workflow.
Let's talk about Chat Featured, because it doesn't just monitor your AI visibility. Right?
No, it is highly proactive. It actively analyzes the gaps in an AI's knowledge base and generates the specific FAQ nodes needed to plug those gaps.
It essentially reverse engineers what the AI doesn't know and then feeds it the answer.
Precisely. Then you have AirOps, which provides multi-model support. It integrates GPT, Claude, and Gemini directly into your content creation process.
You aren't logging into a bunch of different platforms.
Right. You can instruct the platform to generate a piece of research, format it with the exact JSON LD schema required, update your llms.txt file, and publish it at scale.
It's a complete assembly line.
It really is. We also see unified workspaces like Koala AI, which bundle the entire content lifecycle, the writing, image generation, and schema formatting, all into a single automated flow.
And the foundational technical tools have adapted as well.
Right.
Like Screaming Frog, which has been the standard for desktop crawling forever.
Right. And now it utilizes AI-powered insights to analyze your site's architecture.
It actually prioritizes crawl errors based on the actual traffic impact they're having on generative models.
And Surfer SEO is doing similar things.
Yeah.
It has evolved its natural language processing editor to include Real-time AI mention tracking, as you write.
Okay, but looking at this entire ecosystem, I mean, it leads us to a really uncomfortable
I think
paradox.
I know where you're going with this.
We have machines like Semrush and AirOps optimizing and writing content specifically for other machines like ChatGPT and Claude to read.
Yep, machines talking to machines.
And then we use other machines like Surfer SEO to track the mentions generated by those models. In this closed loop where AI is talking to AI, writing for AI, and measuring AI, is there any room left for actual human beings?
That question cuts to the absolute core of the August 18th, 2026 report.
Because it sounds pretty bleak for humans.
It does, but the answer reveals the greatest irony of this entire technological shift. The deeper AI integrates into the search and discovery process, the more critical, genuine human authenticity actually becomes.
Wait, so the more robotic the system gets, the more it craves humanity.
Exactly. The report explicitly details how EEAT, experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness has evolved.
Right, these used to be somewhat subjective guidelines for human quality raters.
Not anymore. Today, they are de facto hard algorithmic ranking signals. The AI engines absolutely demand them, especially for YMYL topics.
YMYL, your money or your life. Topics like health, finance, legal advice, anything that directly impacts a user's well-being.
Right. And to understand why EET is now a hard signal, we have to look at the computational logic of a language model.
Okay, break that down for us.
AI tools do not need to cite content that simply repackages or aggregates existing information.
Because they can do that themselves.
Exactly. They are perfectly capable of infinitely synthesizing known facts instantly and for free.
So, if your company's blog post is just a polished summary of 5 other articles you found on the internet,
An AI model has absolutely zero computational reason to cite you or send you referral traffic.
it already absorbed those 5 original articles during its training run. It can just generate its own summary.
The only things a language model cannot generate are original research, unique localized data sets, and authentic, lived human expertise.
So therefore, those are the only inputs it actually values enough to cite.
Exactly. The report shows that websites demonstrating strong real-world brand signals are the most resilient to algorithm updates.
Because they are anchored in reality.
Yes. An AI overview will actively bypass a perfectly optimized, technically flawless page from an unknown aggregator in favor of a messy, poorly formatted page from a recognized, verified human expert.
Which completely shatters the old definition of SEO.
It really does. You can't fake it anymore.
You cannot just write clever code and manipulate keyword density to trick an algorithm into thinking you are an authority.
The report makes this incredibly clear. Digital PR is now indistinguishable from SEO. They are the exact same discipline.
If your brand is not generating real-world press mentions, if you are not publishing original survey data that industry peers naturally link to, if your executives aren't speaking at recognized conferences,
You will be invisible to the AI.
you literally have to exist tangibly in the real world for the AI to prioritize you in the digital one.
The entity mapping we discussed earlier, the JSON LD and the structured data, it only works if the entity being mapped actually matters.
That is such an important point.
Human oversight, original thought, and strategic direction are really the only things providing the quality control that these machines are programmed to reward.
So bringing this all back to you, the listener, if you are navigating the web or trying to build visibility for a business on August 18th, 2026, the entire playbook has been rewritten.
Completely torn up and rewritten.
You have to adapt to the fragmentation of multi-engine SEO. You have to translate your knowledge into the machine's native language using llms.txt and entity schema.
You have to embrace the automated command centers to handle all that immense technical busy work.
But the ultimate takeaway, the core strategy that will actually get you cited by the AI bouncers, is injecting undeniable original human expertise into everything you publish.
It is a demanding, highly technical landscape, but it ultimately enforces a meritocracy of ideas. But before we conclude, I want to pose a question raised by the implications of this report.
Okay, lay it on us.
If AI models eventually evolve to only cite original, groundbreaking human research and firsthand experience because they can infinitely synthesize and generate all the derivative content on their own,
Right.
what happens to the millions of everyday opinion blogs, the generic product roundups, and the aggregator sites that currently make up the vast majority of the internet?
That's a good question.
Do they simply vanish, uncrawled, and uncited into the dark web of digital history?
Wow. If the map is drawing itself in real time, and you aren't a major verified landmark, you just disappear from the territory altogether.
It's entirely possible.
That is a heavy, fascinating thought for August 18th, 2026. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the map, keep analyzing how you interact with the information around you, and we will catch you on the next one.